welcome back to my channel. I am Makeup by May. For those of you who may not know, welcome to the party. Hope you guys are doing okay today. Hope you're having a beautiful day. I just really hope you guys are enjoying yourself. But I'm going to make your day even better. Today, I am doing a super duper easy, beginner friendly makeup tutorial. Yes, so I am getting ready to go detail by detail by detail. This is super easy. Like, I created this in my brain specifically for people who have like no idea or recognition of makeup at all, like someone who's just starting out. So if that is you and you're just starting out, you just want something so simple to begin with, this is for you. I'm going detail by detail by detail, step by step. I'm gonna make sure you guys get this. So if this is for you, keep watching. It's me in my raggedy scarf, the one that you guys are probably tired of seeing. I'm gonna buy me a new scarf one of these days, but this has been my baby for a while. But anywho, what you wanna do first, put your hair out your face. You don't want makeup getting all in your hair. We can't have that going on. But for real, first things first is skincare. So before you do your makeup, you want to make sure you start with a clean canvas. So you should have washed your face already. You should have moisturized, did all that good stuff. And now, before you do your makeup, this is something that I like to do. You don't have to do it, but I like to do it. And a lot of good makeup artists that I know, they do it too. Start off with your facial spray. This is my Badescu Rose Water Facial Spray. I just sprayed this on. And it's very inexpensive. I think for this size, it might be $12 or $7. But they have like different sizes. You can even get the travel size, which is a little smaller than this. It's like this size. And it doesn't have to be that one. They have a lot of other good rose water facial sprays that's probably cheaper than that, but that's a good price. It's really good quality. So when I start out my makeup, I love to start with brows. Just makes it easier for me. As you guys can see, my brows, they need doing really bad. I haven't gotten them done in almost 2 years. My brows are bald head though, so I'm trying to make them grow out. But I'm going to show you how to make them look nice, even if they're not really growing well. So for brows, it's so many different products that you can use. What I like to use is a brow pencil. To me, just makes my life a whole lot easier. So we're going to be using that because this is beginner friendly. So the brow pencil I'm using today is the Morphe one. You don't have to have exactly this brand, but one that looks like this will be great. It's a pencil on one side and then there's the spoolie on the other. The spoolie is great for brushing out your brows. So you're gonna first brush your brows with the spoolie in the direction you want your brows to go in. So what I always do is brush upward, just like this. And after I brush upward, I kind of brush them this way. Cause you know your brow is always kind of going like this. What's that, like diagonal? So I just brush them this way. That tail end of my brow, I kind of go at the top of the brow and brush it like that. So it's going downward. And that's me just brushing it in the direction I want it to go in. Like I told you guys, I haven't had my brows done in so long. So I have a few like loose hairs down at the bottom. So I'm gonna kind of sweep them in with the rest of the brow hairs so they can go in the right direction. It looks so bad, you guys. Like, I really need my brows done. Got my brows exactly how I want them. Now I'm gonna teach you this thing. It's called brow mapping. I learned this when I was working at Ulta. With brow mapping, they usually have a tool that they use, but you can use your brow pencil. The part of your eye like this. So you see how your eye is kind of like, y'all see what I'm doing? So the outer end of your eye is this way. So you're just gonna mark right here, because that's where your brow is gonna begin. And then the right in the middle part of your eye, this is where your arch should be at. So you know this is right here, is where you're gonna put your arch. So we're gonna put a mark right there. And none of this is actually on the brow hair, it's like away from it, because you're gonna see what I'm gonna do. On the outer end of your eye right here, this is where your brow is going to end. This is going to make it so much easier. All you have to do is fill it in after this. I'm going to start from the beginning where I put my mark for my brow map, and I'm just going to start filling it in. I'm just going in a straight line, and this is for underneath my brow. I want to make sure that my brows are really crisp at the bottom. And now you see I'm where the arch is supposed to be at now, you guys. So you're gonna kind of, it's like you're really just following the shape of your brow. So I know I'm where the arch is supposed to be at. So now I know it's not gonna go in a straight line anymore. It's gonna kind of curve underneath, if that makes sense. You're just really following the shape of your brow. And then I'm at the end where I marked the end of my brow at for my brow mat. I hope this is making sense. Like, it's kind of hard to explain, but once you see it done, you're like, oh, okay, it's gonna make sense. Now that I did that, I'm just gonna gently fill it in now. It's kind of like you're just shading in, that's it. I don't like to press too hard. I just like to lightly do it. And when I shade it in, I always do the front part upward because I want to try to make it look more natural. And then the middle part, I kind of shade it going diagonal, like where my brow is going, if that makes sense. You guys, I never realized how hard it is to explain to someone how to do brows. I think it's one of those things you just kind of have to watch. Okay, so I filled it in, and now the top part is I'm gonna kind of do the same thing I did at the bottom of the brow. Line at the top. I'm exactly where the arch is supposed to be at, so I know I'm gonna kind of curve, and now I'm gonna go downward. And that brow mapping, that's gonna be like your golden key right there. So as you can see, we're done filling in our brows. Now it's time to clean up your brows. So you wanna grab your concealer. This is the concealer I am going to be using today. This is LA Girl Pro Concealer. This concealer is a oldie but goodie. Like, this concealer has been around for so long, but it is so dependable. You can get this from your local beauty supply store. I think they even sell it like at Walmart and stuff now, and Ulta. But yeah, it's really good. Now, this is what I suggest for cleaning up your brows. This is a concealer brush. The way it is like flat and just leveled like that, how it just goes in a straight line. This is what I usually like to use to clean up my brows with. It like helps me from messing them up. So that's a brush that I do highly suggest to you. That is a Morphe brush. What I am going to use today though is a lot of people use these brushes. These are regular like concealer brushes. Can you guys see? It's not really like level, but a lot of people like to use these to clean up their brows as well, or just apply concealer. So this is what I'm going to be using today. So all I do is put my concealer on the back of my hand. Ooh, I be trying to make sure I don't get this on my clothes. So everywhere we did brow mapping at, we're gonna clean it up. So I'm just gonna take my brush and dip it into my concealer. And I'm basically following the shape of my brow again. Going underneath my brow and just swiping. Y'all see that? Real simple. And all I'm doing is dragging my brush along, following the shape of my brow. And since we're cleaning up the brows with concealer, and we're gonna do eyeshadow in a few, we're gonna grab a little bit more concealer and bring it down. So you can just go ahead and bring that all the way down on your eye, and we're gonna use this as eyeshadow primer. After you bring it down, you want to take a brush. This is the type of brush I'm using. It's kind of like a more of a compacted like eyeshadow brush. You can either use this, or you can use like a real flat eyeshadow brush, and then you just want to kind of blend it out. Make sure you blend really well. You want to make sure it's kind of even out, because when you put your eyeshadow on, you want it to look good. And just keep blending. Blend as long as you have to until it looks even. Which it shouldn't take that long, but just blend as long as you need to. For foundation today, I'm using my Maybelline Fit Me Foundation. This is also super inexpensive. I think it's about maybe $8, and you can literally find this anywhere, any pharmacy, grocery store, makeup store, you can find Maybelline Fit Me. To clean up the top of your brows, I highly suggest either your foundation that you're gonna use, or using a concealer that is close to your skin tone. When you use a concealer that is lighter, you have this thing called halo brows. It looks really bad, like really bad. And you don't wanna look like that. So all I did was put some foundation on the back of my hand. I'm gonna take my same brush that I used for concealer. I wiped it off first though. And I'm using that same brush. I'm gonna dip it into my foundation. And I'm just gonna use that to clean up the top of my brows. And it's the same thing, you're just following the shape of your brow. And I'm just sweeping it across the top. I'm gonna go in for a little bit more foundation. And I'm where my arch is, so I'm gonna go down now. And it's just like a really good sweep. And that's it pretty much. You see where there's kind of like a line where I put my foundation at? I kind of like to push upward because I'm gonna put on more foundation anyways, but I like to push upward so that line doesn't like sit in. And then I like to put a little bit in the front of my brows, like that. Voila. So I went ahead and did my other eyebrow off camera, so they're looking good. Shout out to brow mapping. So let's get into eyeshadow now. I'm using my Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. I'm going to only be using one eyeshadow today. Like I said, this is supposed to be super beginner friendly, so I'm not gonna put too much stress on y'all. So I'm using this shade right here. It's like a brown shade. It's kind of a little bit close to my skin tone, but not really. That is one of my favorite shades to use. That's like my go-to shade. So all I'm doing is taking a fluffy eyeshadow brush. This look can also be used for like an everyday makeup routine. I'm going to go into my palette and dip my brush into the shade and just kind of pat. Then I'm going to start out here on the outer part of my eye. I just noticed something. I waited a while, so my eyeshadow primer, which is my concealer, kind of creased up, and I didn't set it with any powder. So I'm going to take the brush that I used to blend it out, and I'm just going to go back over it again so the creases go away. I cannot stand creases in eyeshadow primer. Like, ugh, I don't like creases anywhere. Okay, we're good. So back to eyeshadow, I'm going to go on the outer part of my eye, and I'm just patting. This whole time, I'm never gonna swipe really hard. You don't want your eyeshadow looking blotchy. You're going to pat. So that is literally all I'm doing for this whole eyeshadow look is pat, 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 pat. I'm gonna go in and pick up more product, patting my brush in there, and I'm gonna continue to pat. So now I'm kind of like in the center of the eye and in the front part, and it's just patting all around. And you're just gonna continue to pat the eyeshadow on. So I'm gonna speed this part up because all we're doing is just patting it in. I did my other eye, so we're looking good here. I love that eyeshadow color. I just love like earth light tones that's like close to your skin, like different type of browns and neutrals. Those are the things I like. But I meant to tell you guys, it is a reason why I start on the outer part of the eye when I'm applying eyeshadow. Because let's just say if you pick up too much product, you never want to just smack that right in the center of your eye. No, I like to start on the outer part, especially when it comes to like just using one shade, or when it comes to like if this was my transition color. Like I never want to put that like smack dab in the eye. I always want to start on the outer part of it. Now, if we were doing a cut crease and there was like one particular color that I was using on the lid, that is something totally different. Go ahead and put that on in the center and kind of blend it out. But yeah, that's why I start on the outer part of the eye. Now it's time to get into complexion. First thing first, you need a primer. The primer I'm using today is the Too Faced Hangover Primer. This primer is so popular. A lot of people like it a lot. This has coconut water in it, so it's really good for your skin. It's gonna help hydrate. Now, I'm usually someone that's typically oily. I'm not going anywhere today, so that's why I'm using my Too Faced one. Usually, I would probably want to use this in the winter time where my skin is a little bit drier. But I remember one time I was talking to a Too Faced rep, and he told me that this primer is good for if you have oily skin or dry skin. Now, I haven't personally tried it, but y'all try it and tell me what you guys think. If you're someone who's oily, how did this primer work out well for you? But this is what we're using today. So you always want to make sure that you have a primer anytime before you put on foundation. The reason why I say that is because you don't want the foundation to seep all into your skin and start causing breakouts and stuff. No, what primers do, it helps create a nice base on your skin for your foundation to lay on, and your foundation don't look all nasty like it's just laying there. Like, no, you want it to blend out. flawlessly, okay? Because we are flawless. So just gonna we'll do 2 pumps like this, and it's kind of like lotion. I like to press my primers into my skin, but it just depends on what kind. This is like lotion, so I guess you can like rub it in, but I don't know. I like to press. It just makes me feel like it's working better. Now it's time to dive into foundation. Like I showed you guys earlier, I am using the Maybelline Fit Me, so I'm just gonna put some of this on the back of my hand. Now, to blend out your foundation, you can use a foundation brush or you can use a sponge. It depends on what mood I'm in that day, what I use. But today, I'm in the mood for a sponge. This is my beauty blender, and this is the actual beauty blender brand. I am going to use that to put on my foundation, so all I am going to do is I'm going to use the bottom part, because when I put on my concealer, I'm going to use the top part. So I'm taking the bottom of my beauty blender to put my foundation on. Now, you guys most definitely can put your foundation on like this with this part of the beauty blender, but since I'm using it for 2 things, I'm going to use the bottom part. So I'm just dipping it into my foundation and I'm blending it out. And I think using what is on my face? I think using a beauty blender kind of makes it go by faster too. Like if you were in a hurry and need like a quick makeup routine, I think this works better. So I'm just gonna go ahead and speed this up because all we're doing is like patting. Do not rub your foundation in. You want to pat. You're going to pat because that is what's gonna make your foundation blend out flawlessly. For concealer again. I'm still using my LA Girl Pro concealer, and I have a lot of concealers, but this is the concealer I started out using when I first got into makeup, and this concealer has never let me down, so definitely recommend. So I'm just putting a little bit under my eye area. If you don't know, people tend to put concealer under their eye areas to brighten up underneath their eye. The under eye area, it tends to get dark. Some people's under eye area gets a little saggy and stuff too. That concealer is going to help brighten that area up. So I'm just putting on a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing for my other eye. And like I told you guys before, concealer is what helps brighten up. So I'm also going to put in other areas I want it to brighten. So I'm going to put a little bit right here and a little bit on the forehead area. And I'm gonna dab some right there too, then I'm done. So going back into my beauty blender, and my beauty blender is a little damp because I just cleaned them last night. I'm going to blend it all out now. I'm gonna start blending right here first, but that is all you're doing is blending everything out. It's so simple. Like, beauty blenders are the GOAT in real life because they make it just so much easier to blend. And underneath the eye area, that pointy part on your beauty blender, it's gonna save your life. Makes everything a whole lot easier. I wish I could sing, y'all. I be wanting to sing to y'all as I'm telling y'all stuff, but then I be like, nah, girl, shut up. You gonna scare them away. But take your concealer out here, and it's gonna help clean up your eyeshadow as well. Cute little life hack. And we're just gonna do the same thing on the other eye. Out your concealer, any extra concealer, I like to take it on the edge of my nose like this, so my nose can look snatched without having to do any like contouring. Look at that, we looking flawless already. You definitely want to go ahead and set your concealer before it starts creasing up. I'm going to set my concealer using my MAC pressed powder. I love this powder so much, it's the absolute best. But something I would typically do is use translucent powder, and I would let it sit on my face for a little bit, then I would dust it off. People will call that method baking, but I don't let my loose powder sit on for too long. But this is beginner friendly, so I'm not going to get into that right now. So if you have like a regular pressed powder, or even if you have like a pressed powder like this that's translucent, use that to help set. I'm going to be using my MAC powder, and I'm just going to dust a little bit on my brush like this. I just kind of like to pat it in there like that. And then in the spots where I blended out my concealer, I'm just going to kind of do my brush like this. Same thing on my other eye. Now, I don't like to pick up too much product because it will change the color of my concealer. I only like to use just a little bit. And I'm also dusting on my forehead. I'm hitting my nose. My nose began oily. And right here, that's where I put concealer at. For contour, you can use your favorite bronzer. What I like to do is, this is my Juvia's Place, that I can't get open. The Juvia's Place Warrior 2 palette, and I like to mix these two brown shades together. So if you have like some brown eyeshadows that you would prefer to use over using a typical bronzer that you could buy, most definitely do that. This brush, I want to say is called a Kabuki brush, but brushes that are usually kind of like wide like this, they're good for powders, and they're also good for putting like contour on your cheeks. That is what I like to use this brush for. So I'm just going to go back and forth into these two eyeshadows. Then I'm going to just kind of go like this up and down by the cheek area. And if I feel like I need to add more product, I'll add more product. But this is what I like to do when I don't feel like fully contouring my face, like with cream contours and stuff like that. I just grab my big brush and it warms up my skin exactly how I want it to. I'm also gonna go ahead and do the bottom of my face. I wanna give the illusion that I kinda got a slimmer face, because Lord knows my face is so fat, and then I got real fat cheeks. Yeah. And then you can put some on the top of your like forehead area too. I got this scarf in the way, so it's not really doing much for me. While I'm in my Juvia's Place Warrior 2 palette, I'm gonna grab this pink shade right here, and I'm going to use that for blush. So I'm gonna grab that same brush that I use for contour, because, okay, this is the reason why I'm using the same brush. One, if you can use your same brushes and don't have to clean a lot of brushes, I didn't drop it, but do that. Please do that, because, oh my gosh. Because cleaning brushes is horrible. I'm just gonna dive into this pink shade right here, and I'm gonna take the end of my brush and do that. I don't typically put my blush like in the center of the cheeks, like where normal people put it at. I don't ever smile, so I usually put it like at the top of my cheeks, like right here. So I'm just dabbing it at the top. I went in for more, and I'm doing it on this side, placing it at the top. Now it's time for eyeliner. This is my LA Girl pencil eyeliner. I suggest using any type of eyeliner that is waterproof, so you don't have to worry about it wiping off, because we're putting this in our waterline. Now this might be a little tedious. So what I like to typically do is bend my face down like this, see where my waterline is, and kind of swipe like this right by the waterline. When I dip my face like this, it just makes it so much easier for me. If you need to pull down and do it like this in the mirror, definitely do that. But this is what I like to do, especially when I'm recording videos for y'all to watch. And we're just swiping it across. See? Got our bottom liner on, so now it's time for our top liner. Let me show you a few things I suggest to you, because we are going to do a wing. We're not going to do a major wing, but we're going to do a wing, so you need liquid liner. When I first got into makeup, I found it easier using felt tip liner. So it's like a pen, and when you put your eyeliner on, it's kind of like this. I found it easier doing that, but when I got more experience, I found that liquid liners that are like this are better. And the reason I say that is because when you're using a felt tip liner, and yeah, it makes like straight lines when I'm drawing it on my hand, but when I'm doing it on my eye, if you kind of zoom in on it, it looks like kind of zigzaggy. It still gives you the look that you're looking for, but I like my line to be very crisp. So the NYX Liquid Liner is one that I highly suggest, because when you're putting it on, like that little tip at the end, honey, it does not bend. You don't have to worry about it looking zigzaggy at all. The CoverGirl liner is really good. This is the one I'm going to be using today. It's kind of made kind of like the NYX one, except for the NYX one, I don't know, the NYX one has my heart, but it's drying out right now. So I'm going to use the CoverGirl one. So when using liquid liner, the key basically is you're just kind of making a line on your eye if you want your eyeliner to be like really, really crisp. I'm going to like the very front part of the lid and just making a line. That's the easiest way to do it. Just line by line. So where the lashes are, by the lid, just making a line. Where the front part of the eye, kind of swipe, going to the right, going over where you made a line at. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you guys can watch what I'm doing, it just makes it a whole lot easier. And to get that wing that you're looking for, you want to go to the corner of your eye and just draw a line going outward. Then go to the top of that line, swipe down like making a triangle, and go back over the line that you just made. And fill anything in. And that is your wing. Now you're gonna put on your favorite mascara. I'm using the Better Than Sex mascara. I like this one a lot because my lashes are bald head too. And this makes them look a little bit fuller. So first I do my bottom lashes, and I just kind of bend my head down and kind of comb through them. And then I go through them again and kind of shake so I can get more on there. For the top part of my lashes, I do the same thing. I lift my head up, comb through them, and move my brush back and forth to get as much product on there as I can. I let it dry, and then I repeat this step maybe 2 or 3 times. I'm not wearing lashes today, so I'm going to repeat it like 3 times. Now it's time for lips. Always, always, always use a lip liner. When you don't, your lipstick or whatever gets to bleeding and it looks really, really bad. So definitely always use a lip liner. I personally like using brown lip liners. I feel like they go with everything. The lip liner I'm using today is the MAC Chestnut Lip Liner. This one is a favorite lipstick of mine. It is called Beige Pop, and it is by Clinique. Then I'm going to top it off with NYX Butter Gloss, and it is called Madeline. So when you're putting on your lip liner, you're just kind of tracing the actual design of your lip. And if you want to go over to make your lips appear bigger, that's totally fine. That's between you and yourself. And I kind of like make an X at the front part of my lips. So one line is going this way and the other line is going the other way. And then when it gets to the end of the lips, I kind of bring it in some. Now for the bottom lip, just filling in the lines. I'm saying filling in, I'm just tracing the lines, and I bring it in a little bit. For lipstick, it's self-explanatory. You just kind of fill it in. I do a lot of this because I really want to make sure it blends. Now I'm going to top it off with my lip gloss. And I just swipe that on like that. Then you're gonna grab your favorite setting spray. Mine is the Morphe one. And we are done, honey. Completed look. I hope you guys enjoyed this super easy, detailed, beginner friendly makeup look. Hopefully you guys learned something new. Y'all already know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to ring that bell so you can be notified every time I post new videos, dropping every Wednesday and Friday. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Miss Carmay. Thanks you guys again. Bye.